Welcome to this edition of the Vawlin Out podcast. I'm your host, Jordan, here with my co-host, Swanny. How you doing tonight, brother?
If I was any better, I'd need a twin.
There you go, man. I like that. I like that tag. Long time caller, first time listener. Like it. Man, tonight we got a special guest with us. We got Billy Ratliff from the 1998 National Championship Volunteer Football Team. How you doing tonight, big man?
Hey, I'm great, man. Hey, just honored to be on here with you guys, man. I haven't did this in a long time, so I'm a little rusty. So I hope I can get you guys to help me out a little bit today.
Hey, buddy, you rusty or not, you're here with us. That's all that matters. We appreciate you jumping on with us, buddy.
I'm in a constant state of rusty over here.
What's that?
I'm in a constant state of rusty. Always rusty. So you got nothing to worry about.
Well, hey, we're going to be the three amigos tonight then.
That's it, buddy. That's it. That's how we like to roll with it, man. So we're just going to try to get to know you a little bit here and have you kind of walk us through your football career, man. What started your love for football?
Oh, man. See, I was actually a basketball player, man. I always loved basketball. My first actual scholarship offer was from North Carolina. And my junior year in high school, I ended up tearing my knee up, my ACL. And I played football too. And playing football was just easy, man. I mean, it was more like, when I didn't start playing until everybody was like, the girls love the football players. So I said, oh, hey, let's play football then. So I go out, I play ball. And to be honest, I wasn't supposed to play football because my mom didn't even want me to play. My dad didn't want me to play. I end up sneaking and getting my aunt to sign my permission slip to play football. And of course, that didn't work out well because I ended up becoming a star playing football and ended up being on the front page what they had what's called the Mississippi top 12 player, the Danny Dozen. And they have me on the front page of the paper. Now, my mom is a warden at a women's facility. Mm-hmm. And the ladies was talking about this kid, hey, this Ratliff kid on the front page. Miss Darlene, are you any kin to this kid? And she looked at it and she said, that's my dang on baby. And because I was actually a shrimp in high school. I was small, man. I was tiny. And I'm talking to my, back then, I say I was about 5'10", 180. I was small for a middle linebacker.
Right.
Now, by the time I became a senior, I mean, that changed. Now I was about 6'1", 220. So I was huge then. So me knocking players out, putting them to sleep, leaving out on the stretcher, it was fun to me hearing my name on the intercom, Billy Ratliff on the tackle, Billy Ratliff on the tackle, and it was just fun and easy. And it was just the whole thing of going to someone else's stadium and the fans or the opponents are calling your name. Hey, there you go. That's Billy Ratliff. I'm thinking I'm Michael Jordan. I'm walking in chewing gum without gum in my mouth, with the little, the mic walk. It was just fun. And I just love playing football, man. It was just easy.
Well, I mean, you made it look easy. Apparently, I mean, you were a hoss, buddy. So like when you were in high school, though, really, when did you realize you had a legitimate chance to play big time college football? Like what was your recruitment process like?
So after I got my first letter was from North Carolina. I think the next week, I think it was almost 200 letters in the guidance counselor's office. And I go in and she's like, hey, this is for you. I'm like, what the heck is this? So of course they go straight to my head. I'm like, yeah, put one in my back pocket, goes out and show all my teammates, and they're cheering for me and stuff like I already got a scholarship. But I think when I tore my knee up and realized that the basketball court wasn't going to be good for my knee, all the jumping up and down, and then ended up having like shin splints in my leg, and and that's from jumping up and dunking all the time, and it was just brutal playing basketball. But basketball was fun for me, and football was easy. I think once I realized I wasn't going to be able to get the scholarship to play basketball, I turned football full speed and went ahead and said, "Hey, let's go get it."
Okay, that makes sense then. So you mentioned that you got a scholarship offer for basketball from North Carolina. I'm assuming they were maybe recruiting you as, let's do basketball and football.
Well, no, just basketball. Football wasn't even on the table. I mean, I didn't care what I got the scholarship in. I was just didn't want my mom to pay for school.
Right, right. That's shoot, man, basketball for North Carolina. I mean, that's up there with, football for Tennessee, you know. Um, so really and truly, when it got down to it, and you're like, okay, I've got to pick a school. What schools did it come down to, and what made you decide, all right, Knoxville's where I want to go?
Oh man, Knoxville. I'll be honest with you, man. I didn't really want to leave home because I mean I was a mama's boy. I didn't want to leave my mom, and then I had like a lot of cousins that we was a huge family, and I went to Notre Dame, went to Florida, went to Clemson, and then a couple of LSU. And it came down to Clemson and Tennessee. Um, Tennessee, when I got here, it wasn't the traditions or the football players or anything. I didn't know nothing about that stuff. I didn't care about any of that. I was just a plain Jane. I mean, I'm laid back, and every last one of the guys that signed with me in '95, each one of them reminded me of one of my teammates back in high school. And they just made me feel like I was at home. And I didn't sign on signing day. It was like 2 days later. I didn't know what I wanted to go. I mean, I didn't know what. I mean, I was like, Mom, if I go here, if I go there, you guys gonna come see me or what? And my mom told me. She looked at me and she said, "Baby, there's nothing for you here in Mississippi." She said, I want you to go where you want to go." She said, "If it's Tennessee, if it's Clemson, go. I'm gonna support you." I went to sleep that night, woke up, went to my coach, and told him, "Hey, I'm gonna sign with Tennessee."
Nice, man. That seems to be a pretty. There's just something about the state of Tennessee, man, especially East Tennessee and in particular, that feels like home to a lot of people, and they don't have to be from here. I think a lot of it's the people, the atmosphere, the friendliness of people around here, man. I mean, I've been at several orange and white games where I've seen people swarm you because they know who you are and what you did, and I've been one of them. I'm not even going to lie to you. He's actually got a football helmet sitting behind him, up there over his shoulder that your autograph is on. Like we know we follow and we love you guys so much that we appreciate you guys even after you leave here. And I don't feel like a lot of schools, a lot of alumni from a lot of schools get that same kind of treatment. You know what I mean?
You're preaching everything that me, V4Ls, that we do. I mean, I still contact every last one of my teammates. I go from A through Z every year until I talk to each and every last one of them. We come together every year for games, and it's like we didn't skip a beat. Like we've been together every day. And
Yeah.
that's why I like Tennessee, man. Tennessee, I mean, and you said it. I mean, it's different though, man. The brotherhood that we have. I mean, even with the fans, man. I try to tell the kids now the way it was with the fans when I played, or even with the students. It was different, man. I mean, we had fun, man. I mean, it didn't matter who it was. I mean,
Absolutely.
I mean, the sororities, I mean, the fraternities, we did all of that. I mean, we try to create a brotherhood with the whole school.
Yeah, man. Like I can tell you. Okay, so '98, I was in 4th grade watching you guys. My dad is who really kick started my love for Tennessee football because he would take me to games every year. My first memory, um, real vivid memory. It was a little bit before you come around. Um, I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. We played Oklahoma State up here. I had my picture taken with their Oklahoma with their mascot. You know what I'm saying? Like it runs deep, man. It runs deep. And actually 2 years back, 20 well, it was 22, wasn't it, Swanee? When you, me, and my boys went and no, it was when
23.
was it? Okay, yeah. That was their first experience in Neyland, and they absolutely eat it up. Well, later on that year, mom and dad took them to a game, and I couldn't take them because I had to work. They absolutely love it now. They're fans for life. Like it, it's crazy how just somebody you don't even know comes out as a kid and signs a T-shirt for you, and it changes your entire perspective on who you like, what team you pull for, this, that, and the other. Like it's wild to think that. And I was fortunate enough to there for a while. Me and Dad went every year. We'd park at the old hospital across the bridge, the Henley Street Bridge, and walk. And those are some of my best memories watching you guys as young as I was. So, like you being on tonight, that was one of the things I was like, I want to have somebody like that on because it brings back a lot of memories for me. So again, that I thank you for coming on with us tonight, man. It means a lot to me. And I actually told Dad tonight. I was like, I got Billy Ratliff coming on with us tonight, and he was like, "Oh, I know exactly who that is." So yeah, it was yeah. This is an awesome experience, man. But man, let's talk about that '98 season. There were some wild games that year, buddy. What was the locker room though like? What was the vibe going into that season? Like, what was the mindset?
Oh man, that was a crazy beginning of the '98 season. I think what really motivated us was the whole world was against us, man. It was didn't think we had a chance to win any ball games. At some points, even our coaches was thinking that we was an 8-4 team, and because we had just lost Peyton, we lost a lot of guys that year. Joey Kent, Leonard Little, and we lost a whole lot. Terry Fair, and even the media, they didn't even think we had a chance. Now, us as players, I mean, we knew what we had. I mean, all we had to do was just go play. And I remember when no one gave T. Martin the respect that I was like, what? You guys just don't know what y'all guys, y'all getting ready to see something you've never seen before. It almost kind of reminded me of how everybody was when Mahomes got the job at KC. They was like, Mahomes, what? And he came on and he lit it up. And T did the same thing. T was a protege of Peyton, man. He was just able to run the ball. He was able to scramble. Gave us an element that no one has seen. And defensively,
You guys were sick, dude.
my man. I go back to some time and I watched some film of what we had when I was at Tennessee. And I think about it. I look back sometime, I'm like, oh my God. Big John Henderson's back here. Big Albert Hainsworth is back here. And I'm like, these guys are like fourth string. We had walk-ons playing before these guys.
Right.
And I'm like, there's no way, man. We had all these guys, man. There's no way. I'm like, this guy went pro. He went pro. He went pro. He went pro. Pro. I'm like, wow. Now, going into that first season, man, that game at Syracuse, it was a challenge mentally because of what everybody was saying that Syracuse had. They had a dual threat quarterback with Donovan McNabb. And oh God, he was the real deal. Trust me, he was. He wasn't as like you have to be on the field and play against him to understand how good he was. And I can keep going each game of how it was, but Syracuse was probably the toughest game we had all season.
I could see that, man. I mean, you guys had to squeak that one out. Jeff Hall kicks field goal as time expires. I remember watching it. Like, I'm sitting there with at the time, mine and his, because me and Swanny are cousins, actually. How old was Mima Ball then? I mean, she would have been 100 2 years ago. So, I mean, she was up there, and she loved you guys, man. So she's babysitting me. I'm sitting here in fourth grade, and I'm watching this with her, and she's going crazy as her little 70-something-year-old legs will let her go. And I'm sitting there watching. And I'm like, what's happened? Then I started watching a little bit. 34-33 final score of that one, and I'm just like, wow, like that's whenever like I say, that year, between everybody I know and mom and dad and everything like that, man, that's when I really, really started, going into it. Like, I knew who Peyton was, but that year it was like, okay, this, even as a kid, you kind of felt like it might have been a little different because, Peyton could never get over that Florida hump. Then you kind of get going watching you guys that year, and man, he should have beat them so many times. He should have, but it is what it is. But I vividly remember watching that game, and it was just like I remember a lot from that year. After Syracuse, the Jeff Hall field goal, the old ball coach comes to town then, buddy. That was buck wild. That was a wild game.
I'm trying to see hold on. Who played second game?
Second game. I can find out. Hold on just one second.
I'll look up the schedule. You keep doing the interview.
Okay. All right. That second game, I can't remember who it was you guys played, but I mean, y'all went out, you handled business. I thought I had it wrote down here because I'm old school, man. I write everything down. But
I mean, so I think the Florida game is what truly created monsters for us. Coaching wise, player wise, I mean, the whole Tennessee staff, everything. When we beat Florida, it was almost like a weight has been lifted. Because they always beat us. I mean, even though we were more talented, because Florida probably only had one team that was more talented than us that I played against. That was probably the '96 team.
Mm-hmm.
And we should have beat them that year too, but a whole nother story. Like they had a straight. It's just they had a plan for Peyton, man. It was Peyton. Like Peyton did his thing.
Yeah.
Just had a scheme just for him. But
right
when we beat Florida, Coach Foreman, when he said, "Guys, I think we can probably go out and beat the Dallas Cowboys right now." When he told us that, oh man, he blew smoke up our ass. Then he couldn't tell us nothing. I mean, we started thinking like, what, really? Oh, okay, we got this. Then I mean, so every team we played from then, we was like, man, we're gonna smash everybody. We trying to get the starters out by halftime.
Right.
According to this, Florida was the second game on the schedule that year.
Okay, that's
okay.
right. Yeah.
I thought so. I thought so. But man, okay. So if I'm not mistaken, the very first touchdown you guys scored that year, T turned around, in that game, turned around, handed it off to Sean Bryson. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. And I mean, dude, he scooted. There wasn't nobody touching that man.
I mean, can you believe that? So, Sean Bryson was actually our fastest player on the field, on our team.
And he was your fullback.
Yes.
He was lined up at fullback, wasn't he?
Yep. Sean Bryson ran a 4.24 40 for the Scouts.
Wow. It don't take him 2 trips to haul ass, does it? Like, that's wild, man.
Yes.
Just who does that? So all right, so you guys are, you guys get down to the nitty gritty. It's 17-17 in regulation. You go out there in overtime. You guys are like, all right, we got to come out of there with this. That field goal they if I'm not mistaken, Florida misses a field goal.
Yes, they did. Wide
Late,
left.
yeah,
Yep,
wide left.
wide left.
You guys go out there. I'm wanting to say it's basically just let's center it up for Jeff and let him do his thing. That goes through the uprights. Pandemonium, as John Ward says, pandemonium reigns. What are you guys as players thinking? Like what's going through your head at that moment in time? Because you guys have fought your ass off for 48 minutes or 60 minutes, and then you had to go in and do another overtime. What are you guys thinking?
I mean, we was just trying to get off the field, man. Go 3 and out, get these guys off the field, or at least stop them and make them kick a field goal. And of course, with me, I'm trying to block the field goal because we had a good chance of blocking every field goal at any time because we had Deion Grant back here that's jumping 50 inches off the ground and blocking anything that's low kick because it wasn't a short field goal. They had to kick it pretty deep.
Right.
I think it was like 51 or something like that. And
yeah, it was a long one.
And
you guys had done your job.
Yes, we did what we were supposed to do. 3 and out, he kicked it and wide left. And seeing the fans come out there on the field like that, typically, I'm trying to like celebrate, but I couldn't celebrate because I'm cramping up. It's the first game that I played over 25 snaps. I played almost 57 snaps that game because my teammates were cramping up before me. And
right,
I was limited to what they call the injured guy reps to 20 to 25 snaps a game. So I had to make plays when I go in the game. And I had never played that many snaps, and I'm cramping up, and I never cramp up. So I grab my helmet, I try to run off the field, Charlie horse in the left hamstring. Down goes Billy.
You're like, this is where it ends right here. By God, we won the game though.
Man, I couldn't even celebrate. I couldn't even go out that night. I had to stay at home and drink, have IVs and drink all this fluids. I couldn't even go out and celebrate with
anybody. Oh, it's that might be a good thing because Coach Fulmer always said nothing good ever happens after midnight.
Hey, when I play, a lot of things happen.
A lot of good things happen after midnight, right? That's funny. That's funny. So, man, after that Florida game, you guys handle business the next few weeks. I want to say you beat Auburn 17-9.
Yeah, that was a tough one too. I think that game ended up being close because we basically had to change the whole offensive scheme when Jamal got hurt.
Right. Jamal got hurt. Was it against Florida? Yeah. Yeah, it had to be against Florida, right?
It was Auburn.
Oh, yeah, he got hurt early in that one, didn't he?
Yep, early in that one. We had plenty of backups. But I think, when he got hurt, it made the season even more because now we had somebody to play for even more to
right.
For respect to just, let them know that we got him.
Right. That again, that's the brotherhood right there. You see it every Saturday on the field. That's the brotherhood. Then after that, you guys go down to Athens, spank them. I want to say 22-3, wasn't it?
Yeah, Georgia wasn't even an option, man. That's automatic. Automatic. Put it like this. I'll tell you what. When it came to the SEC or anybody that we played, everybody was stat teams to us. The only team we had to worry about was Florida. Everybody else is
right.
It's an automatic win. At least that's what we thought that year.
You proved it though. Outside, we'll get to the other big game that year that I don't think was really, looking back at it, that big of a game when the schedule come out that year, but it ended up being a huge game.
Yes.
Y'all spanked Alabama. I remember what did like the first play of the game, Peerless Price just, smokes them on special teams for a kickoff return,
Yes.
touchdown, and the route's on. What did like 37-13, somewhere in that neighborhood for that one?
Yep, that was an easy game. I don't even think I
I'm just
played
gonna
before.
You're like, we didn't have to wash jersey for that one. But you guys basically, you went through the rest of the rest of the season handling business. The next few weeks, you did beat UAB 37-13. I was at that game. I remember that game
Now,
vividly.
now, I'll tell you something now about UAB. UAB was probably our toughest opponent that year. Believe it or not. The stats don't show.
Really?
Yes. All right, you can go to that roster and see the amount of kids from that team that went pro. Those
I have to
guys,
go back and look at that.
oh man, if you go
I'm on
watch
it
that
right now.
team, they did a lot of trickery blocking schemes to kind of like catch us off guard, things that we had
Sure.
never seen on film, and it worked, but we got the job done.
You got the job done that night. I went with one of my little basketball friends that we were playing with that year, and UCLA was playing a big game that year. You guys had worked your way up into the top 3. You were number 2. I remember they were, how they'll announce the scores, or scores of interest during the game.
Yes.
And they announced that, I forgot who it was UCLA was playing that week, but they had announced that they were getting beat, and the whole stadium went crazy, like shaking crazy. So I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, okay, this is whatever's going on, this is important. Me being 8, 9 years old, I'm like, this is important. Um, Next week, y'all move up to number 1. And, buddy, that brings a huge showdown with Houston Nutt and Arkansas the next week. That, buddy. So, fun story about that one. But I'm going to ask you this before we get into it. Okay, so you guys get that number 1 ranking that week. Once you get that, what's the feeling around the locker room right then? And you've got a top 5 matchup that you weren't expecting. Like you got at the beginning of the year, you're like, okay, Arkansas, go ahead and check that off. You weren't expecting that. You know what I'm saying? Like what's the feel around the locker room and you guys that week?
It was the same way, man. We were supposed to go out here and do what we do. This is a stat team that we typically beat them bad. And, I'm trying to get 3-4 tackles for loss. Offense trying to score 50 points. Well, Arkansas came to play. They came to play that night, man. And they didn't do any trickery. They ran it. They threw it. They had a great offensive scheme that day. You would have thought that they were the number 1 team that day. And of course, the kid that I'm playing against, Brandon Bursworth, all week, with the scouting report, our coaches was telling us that this kid is the real deal. He's a All-American. He's a technician. He gets your hands on you, it's over. And sure enough, he was a monster, man. Brandon whipped my ass all game.
They made a movie about him, did they not?
Yes, it was Greater. Did a great story about him, man. If you haven't watched that movie, man, great story, man. It brings a lot of perspective when it comes to the position of the term walk on. A lot of people say, Rudy. I don't think it's even a comparison if you actually knew this kid's story, how hard he had to work to get the offer. Putting on 60 pounds just to become a just to be thought about. And great kid, man. I can't I to this day I still tell people if this man wouldn't wouldn't have got if he wouldn't have passed away, got hit, I think Peyton would have had more Super Bowls.
That was something I was going to ask you about, because I've seen other stuff that you've been on and whatnot, and you've always spoken so highly of him, man. Like you've got such a high opinion of him as a person. So that tells me a lot about him and a lot about you. But that was one of your biggest things that year, was you talked about how well he played and what kind of person he is.
Mhm.
You still keep in touch with his folks to this day, don't you?
I haven't talked to anybody in a while. I know this year is probably going to be a big opportunity to get back into that situation, because we play Arkansas this year in Arkansas, which
Right.
I'm actually going to that game. I'm trying to do some things that week. Me and Clint Sterner. It's just going to be a sad event, because anytime I think about Arkansas, I think about Brandon.
Right.
I'm serious. I'm telling you guys, I had 0 stats up until the play before the fumble. Like, I had a tackle for loss before the fumble, then that play I made the tackle, and then the fumble. But going through my head at that time, I'm gonna walk you through how before that situation happened, the fumble or whatever. Like, of course we're losing, and our offense is on the field, and of course we're thinking like, oh, we got this. They're gonna go score, we stop, and we win. And it didn't happen like that. I mean, fourth down, he throws to the pillars and missed it, which it should have been a first down anyway because of the late hit on T. And of course, we up defense, getting ready to go on the field, or waiting, hoping they get the first down. If they don't, we go out real quick. And I just remember 2 plays before that, we're on the sideline. Al Wilson is chewing us out, because he was hurt. He couldn't play. It hurt his shoulder. And Al was giving us the business. And he's like, man, this is Arkansas. We playing. Man, can we losing? And I mean, I can't say what he really said. He was beep, 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 beep.
Right.
And when Al is talking to you, man, you got to listen, man. I mean, I always call Al the gorilla. I mean, because he didn't play, man. I mean, when he spoke, you listen. Everything becomes silent. And
Right.
so we on the sideline, and I'm waiting, because actually it's not even my time to go in. It's Jeff Coleman's time to go in, for the way we used to do our rotations. Well, Jeff couldn't go in the game because, he was cramping up. So I get to go in. I'm like, oh, let's go. I got this. So in my mind, I'm psyching myself up to try to make a play or do whatever. And I see T coming off, kind of like, head down. Hey, keep your helmet on, man. Hey, I got you. I'm about to get this ball back, man. I got you. And that's how I said it. I'm kind of psyching myself out and psyching him out. First down. In my mind, all I'm thinking about is running a 40-yard dash. I'm trying to run a 4.1 40 to get back here. I jump the snap. Pow, get off the line. Tackle for loss. I'm like, oh, snaps. This man is human. This man is human, because I mean, he's been on me all day, man. He's in my chest. I mean, he hit me. I'm getting a stinger, and I'm like, oh, man, this guy's sick. And, of course, it didn't help because Al, Raynard, Sean Ellis, they're talking mad trash to the guy all game. I mean, they're like, hey, you look like with a big Coke bottle. You look like a Pee Wee. They said talking about your mom, and I'm like, no, leave this man alone. Leave this man alone.
You're like, I'm going against him. Leave him alone.
Exactly. I mean, I even got Darwin Walker to switch positions with me to try to go. I said, hey, Darwin, hey, let's switch, man. I mean, he's strong, you strong. I think you can use your strength to beat him. He switched with me. He said, ooh, you need to get back over here, man. This dude's strong. See, Darwin had that high-pitched voice to be so big. I'm like, but on the play where I jumped the snap, and I'm like, I'm just gonna push him. I get the crown of my helmet in his chest, and I'm gonna lock out and try to do a quick dip and rip. Well, when I did that, his shoulders open up. I'm like, whoa. So I'm just going to keep pushing. And he falls out, and I look down. The ball is on the ground. Now, when I say it was in slow motion, it felt like the ball was there for like 20 seconds. I'm like, whoa. And then, of course, me, like most players, linebackers, DBs, they tell me, hey, I'm going to pick it up and score. I'm like, no. I'm jumping on it, cradle it. Ain't nobody taking it. I'm not even going to give nobody a chance to even jump on me. I cradle it, and I feel somebody jump on me. And I'm like, nope, got up and ran off the sideline, threw the ball back. And all I saw was CC. When I saw Cozy Coleman, I saw his eyes. When he covered up, I was like, we good. It's over. And they did what they were supposed to do all game. What they did in practice against us is ISO, 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 ISO. But the whole game, they want to throw the ball. They want to try to make T. Martin, the Peyton Manning pass. No, we need to give it to the running backs. They can't tell you.
Yes.
Look, Arkansas's defensive line averaged 247 pounds that year. Yes. We are 327 pounds average offensive line. They can't stop us. It didn't matter who was back there. It could have been Travis Henry. Matter of fact, it could have been my mama back there. They was going to block and make sure we scored a touchdown.
Man, that's a old school style of football.
I miss it.
It's
really
crazy.
is.
It's crazy. Like, you don't really imagine a team getting a big turnover like that and then ISOing it all the way down the field.
I mean, Travis was not going to
these days.
Cheese was automatic. It didn't matter what you call. He was going to get 4 or more.
Yeah.
That's wild, man, because and it's funny because for years I was like, why do they call him Cheese, and then I'm like, he's harder than government cheese. That's when it hit me, like, man, I'll tell you so one of the biggest reasons I remember that game so vividly, that was so it was raining like a cow pissing on a flat rock that night.
Yes.
Just absolutely pouring. And I was, like I say, I was in 3rd, 4th grade, and that was, I live in Gatlinburg. So up here, it was Pittman Center's Fall Festival that weekend. They do king and queen for each grade, this, that, and the other. Well, I was the 4th grade king that year. And my dad was like, he was like, you got to hurry up and get done with this. We got to get home and watch this game. Literally, I'm walking out doing my little king prance or whatever. And they're like, Tennessee just recovers a fumble by Billy Ratliff and this, that, and the other. And next thing I know, I don't even stay to find out who wins king or queen that year from kindergarten to 8th grade. We're hauling ass back to the house so he can see who ends up winning the game. And next thing I know, he's like, that pretty much seals it right there to the SEC championship game. Yes. He's explaining things to me, and I'm just like, oh, okay, so I get it now. So it's like, it's crazy, man. Like how you remember things at such a young age like that. And that was whenever, 28-24 final score, you guys sealed the deal with that last drive. And it don't happen without you, man. The stumble fumble. And I see it right over your shoulder right there if I'm thinking right.
No, that's
or is that Alabama? Is that Bama down there?
Yeah, that's like my freshman year there. That's like when been my sophomore year. Okay. That's when we were really, really good. Like we had Lennon Litter and all that. I mean, he made it easy for us then. I hate it when
Right.
they moved him to middle linebacker, man. Because now I always get a double team now.
Right.
Like,
I remember a story about, there's that picture of Leonard standing over the guy from Auburn. He was like, the guy just fell. And I'm just standing there looking at him.
like that picture, yeah. And he'll tell you that. He's like, with Leonard, though, man, Leonard was so, gosh, when I say disrespectful, I hated for anyone to try to block this man because he was so Reggie White like, man. When it came to, he just had more speed, and his speed helped his power. I mean, you talking about a guy that's running a 4.3 40 at defensive end, 6'4", 265, 3.5% body fat. That was scary, man. They had to triple team this man. Had to take tight end, tackle, and then chip him with a running back, and he's still getting sacks.
That's freakish right there, honestly. Like,
Oh.
legit, just what do you do to stop him? You know what I mean? Just there's not a whole lot you can do. It doesn't sound like.
You're right about that.
So you guys go into that SEC championship game again. That was a Saturday night. I'd been playing. I played junior league basketball that year. We were playing at home that night, and we had Pittman Center. It was a really small school. We had maybe 190 kids in the whole place. That night, though, everybody and their brother was like, "We got to watch the game. We got to watch the game." So they had it set up to where you could go in and watch the game in the 7th grade classroom. We were in and out of that room all night long because Dad was president of the junior league. I remember watching that game. You guys won it. What was it? Was it 21-14? It was a close game. It was a close game. Because Miss State had it that year. They were pretty good. They were along the lines of Arkansas, but you guys played well enough. It wasn't really what you would say in question. But they were good enough to match up with you guys in certain areas. How did Coach Fulmer get you guys amped up for that one, or did he have to?
Well, I think what really motivated us was the fact that everybody was telling us that we needed help to even make it to the championship game. And I'm like, how do we need help if we win? I'm like, I thought we was the number one team in the country. But they said that like Kansas State lost or whatever, somebody else lost is the only reason we made it to the championship. Or that was the only way we would be able to make it. And they ended up losing. And so we control our own destiny now. And we go out, we're ready to play now. We're ready. And we go out and both teams were ready because Mississippi State made a lot of big plays that kept them in the game. He did a good job and we still running, but it still wasn't a blowout like we was expecting. We all do stat teams. No one can stop us but ourselves. And we were ready to play. Coach Foreman just said, hey, go out here and play your game. Enjoy yourselves. Of course, when we came back at halftime, it wasn't what we thought it was going to be. I mean, Mississippi State were playing a lot better than we thought they were. Changed a lot of schemes up. We had a lot of guys that were injured that game, so we had a lot of backups playing. I remember at one point I'm on the field and I'm the only starter in the game on defense.
Wow.
Yes. I mean, you had 3 different linebackers, 4 different DBs. It was crazy. I'm like, they weren't even getting the calls in right. I'm like, okay, what's the calls at? I mean, that was a big challenge for them. And that's what helped Mississippi State out a lot too, because we wasn't getting the calls in because of the backup guys.
Sure. I can see that. That makes total sense. So man, you guys ended up pulling that one off. So you're waiting more or less. That was the first year of the BCS.
Yes.
You're waiting to find out more or less at that point who you're playing. Because you guys really didn't need help that year. Everybody's FOS, as I like to say, full of shit.
Yes.
You didn't need help that year. You done everything you were supposed to do. You done your job as a football team. You're waiting to see who you play. Florida State goes into the ACC championship game that year. I don't remember. I don't recall who they played. But Chris Winkie had got hurt, and that it still sticks in FSU fans' craw this day because they're like, oh well, they don't win if Chris Winkie plays. Yeah, we do. First off. Second off, he didn't play. But man, I remember the build up to that too, man. Like that was the most excitement as a fan that I can remember in a long time, dude. Like just you guys were rock stars around here, man. With everything that you had done and just building up to it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yes, most definitely. That was when they did the drawings of who was going to play or whatever, and we still wasn't getting the respect that we deserved as
No.
being number one team in the country. And when they told us we was playing Florida State, we was like, okay, this is gonna be an easy one here. And I remember when we got to Tempe and all the teams typically come together and we normally do like competitions like whether it's bowling or like pie eating or something like that. And I remember Florida State, they didn't want to be involved with us. They didn't want to be bothered with us. They didn't want to do nothing with us. They thought they were better than us, and of course, the media was, saying all these things like, hey, Tennessee's defensive line is so much slower than Florida State defensive line. I'm like, what? Do y'all y'all must
You're like, thank you. I needed to hear that.
I'm like, what? I'm like, there's not one of you. I guarantee you don't have a linebacker to outrun me. All right. I told these guys, they didn't believe me, but at my heaviest, I ran my fastest 40 time. All right, 291, 454.
Jesus, man, that's toting the mail.
I didn't realize that was fast until after I finished, and I'm like, oh, I thought that was slow.
It's scary.
Right.
But then I found out that is a ridiculous fast time. I didn't know that. I did not know that, but we were fast. I mean, Darwin Walker ran a 4.6. You had Sean Ellis ran a 4.6. Corey Terry ran a 4.5. And then the backups, you got Will Overstreet running a 4.6. I'm like, guys, y'all, no, this is not gonna be a game. And then when I hear the Florida State fans or team and saying, man, if Chris would have played, I said, man, Chris would have been in the ER. I'm like, y'all
right.
See what with Marcus was running for his life. And hey, rest in peace,
Yeah.
Mark. And I mean, he was running for his life, man. We had a scheme just for the quarterbacks. We installed this the week of this game, and it was just a whole different blitz package. Depending on what set they give us, we coming to get you. I think I had 2.5 sacks that game. I don't get sacks.
Right. So that really goes to show how locked in you guys were. Like you guys were total to install that week of. You were locked into that one. No questions asked, whatever. You guys were you're like, we're here to hand out bubble gum and ass whoopings, and we're fresh out of bubble gum.
And that's what we came to do. Our mentor, we didn't even want them to score. If our offense didn't give them the opportunities on the short side of the field, they would have never scored a point on us unless John Akowski kicked it from the 60.
And Seabass.
Yes,
he
can do it. This man, this man had the strongest leg. Matter of fact, I've never seen a kicker that size. This man was huge. This man was like a defensive tackle kicking the football.
Yeah,
Had a long
he was.
career
He
in the
was.
league too.
Yes.
He sure did.
Yeah, first round,
sure did.
first round draft pick at kicker.
Was he a first round draft pick?
Yeah,
He was. Al Davis took a
Jeez.
flyer. Crazy Al. Just
yeah.
win, baby.
Who drafted him? Was it the Raiders?
Yeah.
It was the Raiders.
The
It
Raiders.
was
always,
the Raiders.
the Raiders always did crazy things, man. Heck, they hired Kiffin.
They did. So speaking of Lane, I'm just kidding. We can go there if you want to, though. Speaking of Lane,
It's a long jump from 1998 to 2009.
It is. It is.
What have you been up to since the 98 season?
What was that?
I know that's a long time to cover too, but what are you up to these days?
Oh man, I'm not doing much now, man. Just I just took on a position here at Hardin Valley High School here, coaching football again. I said I wasn't never going to do it again, but I made a deal with my son and his teammates that play basketball. Like all of the athletes at that school play basketball, and I'm like, guys, y'all have probably about 7 kids on this team. If you go play football, you automatically get a scholarship to go play somewhere. Like basketball, yeah, y'all are not basketball players. Like y'all could play it in high school, but you got to, in order to make it to the NBA or college basketball now, you got to be a prospective scout of a basketball player, and that is tall. You guys all, I mean, I'm like, my son is only probably what, 6'1", 6'2", pushing it. And I think they may have one kid on that 6'3". That's not gonna get it playing basketball. I mean, that's point guard. I'm like, how tall is Steph Curry? 6'3". Look, come on, that's a point guard. And
right.
I got 6 of the kids. They went out and tried out this past spring here, and they came to me and said, "Hey, we're playing football this year. What's up? I thought you still coaching?" I said, "Gosh," and I mean, I was just talking out my mind, kind of like what I told T, keep his helmet on. I was trying to use reverse psychology to make them go play. I might give you a chance to get a scholarship if you don't get an opportunity. School is expensive. So they come to me and they threw it in my face, and I said, "Gosh, I got it this way." I tell my wife, "Hey, I'm applying for the position." I sent the head coach a Facebook message that, "Hey, if you need any help, I don't mind coming out. You don't have to pay me anything. I just come help you out." And within 30 seconds of sending that message, he's calling me. "Hey, coach, what's up? Hey, I can use you. I can use you." I said, "Coach, I'll be out there. You don't even have to do nothing. I told the basketball players if they come out and play, I will coach." And he goes, "So that's why they came out here." So now he has some athletes for his offense now, and I told the kids this year, if you come out there, I guarantee you're gonna see something you never saw before. After first day of practice, the second practice that we have 13 college scouts out there watching these kids practice.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about.
Nice. That's what's up.
And of course, I'm cheesing ear to ear that my son is actually playing football, because I didn't think he was going to play. I mean, he said he never showed any interest in playing football. Never.
You didn't show him any old tapes?
That's awesome.
Well, see, he's never really seen me play it. Like, like now he's wanting to watch like my high school tapes and all this here. Like he watched some of my high school basketball and he was like, "Dude, that's you? I'm like, yeah, man, that's me, man. I used to kill it out there, man. All I want to do is just tear the rim off the backboard.
You're like, I'm putting them on posters, man. That's awesome.
Jordan, if you want to get back to
So,
your line of questioning here, I've got some things.
no, I don't
to
care,
say
man.
for
We
the
ain't
end.
got no line of question.
Hey, bring it on. I'm ready.
So, absolutely, man. So, okay, what's your thoughts now, going from what you went through, and I don't mean it like, well, what you went through was awful, because it definitely was not. We've established that from 1990 on up until let's say '07. Really, Tennessee football was where it was at. We went
Uh,
through our 10 years, 12 years of just absolute suckage after Phil.
well,
What's your thoughts on? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break you out. You can finish. I didn't mean to
No,
cut
you're fine. What's your thoughts on where the program is now, how far it's came, and where it's headed?
Well, right now, I think the program is in a good situation, man. These guys finally got a coach that actually care about football. And when I say that, I mean, I know he's there to get paid, but I don't think his mindset is on the payment, because he's going to get paid regardless. And of course, if you win, you're going to make more money.
Right.
I do remember when he took this position, and I remember, I think this is the same time when Al Wilson was going into the College Hall of Fame, and they had an event for Al at the Crown Plaza, and all the coaches came up, and Coach Hype came up. He before the rest of the coaches, and I remember him kind of standing back to the side, and like, me and my teammates, all we do is joke. It don't matter who it is. We're gonna clown you regardless. It's a roast. And
Right.
normally your typical head coach normally just come in, hey, I'm head coach, this is, and blah blah blah. Well, he didn't do that. He kind of sit back there and kind of watched us. Came in, and I remember Al said, hey, coach, come here, man, come here. He come in, and of course, Eric Westmoreland, he's joking on. He's like, man, hey, coach, your shorts kind of tight right there. Hey, you might need to get you a double XL instead of them XLs. And then I remember Al go, coach, I'm gonna be honest with you, coach. You got to be one crazy son of a bee to take this job. Hey, coach looked at it, he's like, man, well, I ain't think about it like that. But no, but coach, he's a good guy, man. He understands the players, man. That's the part that he told us when he first got here. He said, I need to find out what's wrong with the players first. What's going on with the kids? Because with all these kids that's supposed to be 4 stars, 5 stars, or whatever, they're not performing. And it got to be something holding them back if they're supposed to be good. And when he said that, that kind of made me understand that he knows what he's talking about. Because if you get the right players with the right mentality, they'll do anything to win ball games. Coaching is the most important part of football. And until he gets his seniors, that's when you'll see the true Coach Hype team. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. You don't get a team to be great until you get seniors that understand how to be coaches of the game. And what I mean by that, they know every position on the field regardless. You be a defensive tackle, you know what the corner doing, you know what the safety doing, you know what everybody's doing. Now, if you know all this stuff, now all the coaches need to do now is do what I call is develop now. That's when they can develop players. Now, when you have seniors that's doing the job right, the guys behind them, all they have to do is watch what the guys in front of them doing. The coaches don't have to teach that. And
Right.
that's what Alabama doing. That's what Georgia doing. That's what the Clemson's doing. When you have that, when you don't have to teach stance and start, you're wasting time on that. Now you can develop. Now that's what coach can do now. He can develop now. He can start developing. Now next year, that's when I really think we're going to take off next season. This season, I'm looking for us to at least get 10 ball games. I'm truly 10. Anything less than 10, I think, is a failure this year. And reason I said it because we have too many players coming back. We have too many, I call it what, 15-year seniors. And when you have seniors, you're supposed to be a veteran team that teach the kids below you now. Now the coaches can develop, like I said. And we're in a good situation offensively and defensively. Now, the position that I think going to have to step up this year is the wide receiver position.
Sure.
Last year was a disheartening season for the wide receivers. I think when Brew went down, I think that kind of took a big piece of the puzzle that hurt them a lot. But I think this year we have the receivers to do it. Now,
right.
Are they going to adjust to it and make the plays, help the quarterback out? Because he's going to need help this year. I'm going to tell you, he's going to need help because Nico has a bullseye on his back.
Oh,
because
yeah.
everybody is talking about him. They're talking about, he's the highest paid. He's got this, he got that. And other teams, when they hear that, hey, we're trying to come get you. And I think we're heading in the right direction with the program. Finally, it's been a long time since we had a consistent coaching staff, consistent weight room program, consistent medical staff, consistent kids not injured. And going in with the hype that we have, I think it's going to be a pretty good season, especially for the fans to finally see the fireworks spark the way it should. Defensively, I think we got a chance to be a pretty good defense. And I say it was with a big if our defensive tackles can step up this year, I don't see no reason why we can't compete for the SEC this year.
Sure.
Because that's
100%.
the most important part of defense in the SEC. Defensive tackle. If the defensive tackles are good, hey, you got a chance to win every single ball game.
Yes, absolutely. And then you've got James Pierce Jr. on the edge. I mean, it's going to be a fun year, I think, on Rocky Top for us. I think. What do you think? Are we top 12 playoff caliber this year?
I think we are. I mean, if our defensive tackles can step up this year, I don't see no reason why we won't be a top 10 team. I don't. I truly don't. I don't see why not. I truly think that a lot of teams are going to underestimate this program this year because of, Nico being a young quarterback. But I don't think coach is going to put him in a position to fail.
That's
Jordan, we're losing you, buddy.
Did we lose Jordan?
He'll be back in a second, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm in the camp, which I'm kind of I'm a young Vol fan, right? So I don't remember the '98 team at all. I was 5. Yeah. My folks that have a VHS tape of the Big Orange Expedition, the '98 team. That's where I first heard your name.
Okay.
And so when Jordan had mentioned you to me, I was like, all right, cool. That'll be awesome. The quarterback, I remember when I first started getting into it, I guess we lost him. I got in about Casey Clausen era.
Oh, that's still
when
a good era.
When I started caring about it. Yeah, it was a good era to see like my dad and my uncles and everything. Saturdays were a big deal, obviously, but to see them freak out and get mad. So I kind of took that into my teens, and then we were bad for a long time. So it's like I try to temper my expectations. I think I'm in the 9-win camp this year. I'm like 9 wins is my floor, like kind of where I see us fringe playoffs. But you think. Go ahead.
That's a good expectation, but I just don't think with me. I'm the type of player or coach that expect to get better each year, like either one game better or 2 game better. You never want to go backwards, because you go backwards, guess what? You're going to lose recruits now. You can't get those guys now. So if we win one, for instance, if we split the Georgia, Alabama, we're going to get a lot of recruits next year. And depending on which one we beat, we get more recruits. Like if we beat Georgia, we're going to steal all of Georgia players.
Yeah.
Like,
coming from the reason I talked about my era of being a Vol fan is like that. You expect to be better each year, but it's not always happened. Even just last year from 22 to 23, it was kind of a bummer, kind of a back to earth, because 22 was so much fun. That's the most fun I've ever had watching a team, being a fan of this team. And then last year was just kind of it was frustrating, because now I'm back into it rooting. 2020, I'm like, I'll watch this team. I'm going to be upset when they lose, and we lost a lot. But getting into this new era, at least it's been a fun style of football to watch. We put up points.
Well, I tell you this here, like the reason last year was so much different, man, is because the offensive line wasn't as good as everybody thought they were. The receiving core was a big drop off from what we had the previous season.
Yeah.
Everybody blamed it on Joe. I'm like, guys, it ain't Joe. I promise you it ain't Joe. It is not Joe. You go back and you watch the film on our receivers. Our receivers were getting jammed. They couldn't get off the line of scrimmage. They was running routes that was nowhere near where they were supposed to be. And, of course, it's going to affect the quarterback because it's timing. We could have had Peyton Manning back there last year. It wouldn't have looked no different. Like, Joe is a lot better than everybody give him credit for. Like, everybody just know him from his cannon arm. Trust me, we're going to miss that arm when you see what he's doing in the pros. Because what I've been told, I don't know. He's a good kid, man. He's a good quarterback. We haven't seen an arm like Joe since, Dan Marino arm. That's the kind of arm that Joe has.
Ooh.
I'm the only quarterback you can even think of that had that kind of strength and to throw that deep like that and to be accurate to get it there. Woo!
First of all, welcome back to the show, Jordan. Go ahead and chime in there, because I know you're about to.
Yeah, sorry, boys. I had some internet issues, but it sounds like I come back at the right time, because Swanny and I have had this debate on this show. I don't know how many times I'm like, it's not Joe, it's not Joe, it's not all Joe. And he's like, oh, Joe sucks. And I'm like, no. But I'm not going to hang him out to dry on this, because there was times last year where Joe didn't always make the best decision. That's one knock that I will say that I've always had on Joe. He holds that ball too long sometimes. But dude is phenomenally talented. Like,
let me tell you why quarterbacks hold the ball so long. They ain't got nobody to throw it to. They're not getting off the ball.
Good point.
I'm telling you guys, like, think of it this way here.
I'm kind of thinking Swanny was like, I'm
The
wishing
year-
his internet stayed out a little longer.
You remember when it would have been 20 when Hooker came in after Joe. So Joe was starting before.
Yes, sir.
So let's put it this way: if Joe wouldn't have gotten hurt, those stats would have been Joe's.
I disagree. Because we didn't look as good in that first game, and we played Bowling Green, some MAC team, the first game, and it wasn't as fluid as it was later on in the season, even when we played Alabama.
Go look at the stats, and you'll see it's the exact same stats. Everybody say he overthrows.
I'll take the stats, but sitting here right now, I don't believe you.
This is the reason why everybody pictures Joe sucks. That's all they think about is the worst thing he's ever done, or he overthrew this time here. But no one has ever looked at the real reason for those situations, whether he's on his back getting hit, or his receivers are getting jammed up, or he overthrows. Like, people don't understand, like, Coach Hype teaches his quarterbacks to throw high like that, where only his receivers can get the ball. You go to practice, you see the exact same thing from every last one of the quarterbacks. That's just how they do it. Think of this here. How many turnovers did he have?
He didn't turn the ball over a lot.
That's a good.
I've never been that guy. Okay, I've always given Joe his props where I feel like they're due, but I just have never. Thought he was due that many props. Is all I'm saying. And
here
I'm just a dumb. I told you this before we started. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No,
but
you do know what you're talking about. You see
I've seen good quarterbacks play.
Yes,
and I didn't think that Joe was a good one.
So, for instance, you ask some receivers that, let's say, a Pillis Price, a Cedric Wilson that I played with, a Dante Starworth, and they tell you this one thing: if that ball touch your hand, it has to be caught. Even if it's a duck, you got to help your quarterback out. That's something that I didn't see last year from the receivers. The receivers have to.
That's true, because I mean, you go back and you look at that first game. Ramel Keaton's running wide open. Joe lays it right on him. Ramel just drops it,
and that
happened quite a bit last year.
That's a confidence breaker, man. When you don't get a relationship, a rapport with a receiver where he's the hot guy or whatever, and when you throw it to him and you get it to him perfect, and he drops it, and he drops it, and he drops it, or you throw it to him deep and he get it in the fingertip, he drops it. Mentally, it messes with you. Now you're thinking, who can I throw it to now? So like the year before, who was the only receiver Hooker was throwing it to?
Jalen
Hyatt.
Because he had a relationship. He didn't care how he threw it to him. He knew Hyatt was going to catch it.
Well,
Joe didn't have that.
Ramel Keaton didn't have a problem catching that pass from against Florida, where he stretched out like Willie Mays. And he didn't have a problem catching the ball against Bama to drive to set up that field goal to win the game.
Mm-hmm. Now, you just named 2 plays. I'll give you 30 of those plays. There is nowhere near enough helping the quarterback out. And we're going to need that this year. We're going to need that big time this year.
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to need our receivers to help big time, man. That's the That's how this offense is designed.
Yeah.
Receivers have to be dogs. They have to be. I'm telling you, we're gonna need our receivers to be dogs this year. Stretching the field, the quick game, the being able to hurry up to get up. We gotta get it. I mean, the reason we didn't do the hurry up also because the receivers. They can't freaking line up.
I can see it. I mean, I feel like that.
I'm a defense man, and I see the receivers doing this. I'm like, what the heck they doing? Seriously,
there you go.
Okay.
I mean,
one game from last year, and just watch the receivers run their routes, and you'd be like, what the heck? Oh my God.
Okay, maybe. We'll see in five years. Really, if I'm way wrong about Joe Milton, I'll be wrong. That's fine. But as of now, I'm not.
I put it like this here: the fans were already wrong. They said he wasn't getting drafted.
I never said that.
I'm gonna put it like this here:
not this one.
95% said he wouldn't get drafted.
I said he was going to get drafted based on the combine and his pro day alone. Like, he's got all the measurables. He's a freak athlete, unbelievable athlete.
Here, put out if the quarterback from Florida got picked first round last year.
That's the one
Richardson is nowhere near that talent. Nowhere near, because they know they messed up with that pick.
Oh,
nowhere near that. No. Well, okay.
Because he can look.
I don't know about that.
And I'll tell you that. I knew it was going to be a bad pick because I knew he wouldn't be able to stay healthy.
Yeah.
He's a huge muscle.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
Oh, he killed me. I drafted him in every fantasy league I was in last year.
Oh man, you see how many quarterbacks they and they take him?
We best move off this Joe thing, or we'll do a 2-hour show. And I'm in the minority. I'm getting beat up.
That's
right
what
now.
We're all about here.
Well,
he's beat up.
Good guy. I think he's going to be pretty good, though.
We've had
I hope he does. I hope he is
conversations regarding Mr. Milton.
Yeah,
but I do. I want to see Joe do good.
If you go back about 2 episodes, you hear my thoughts on Joe Milton, where I'm not getting bullied by a former player.
Well, I mean, it's not that, man. I've talked to a whole lot of scouts about him, and it's they all kept saying the same thing, and everything that I saw in practice, I'm like, whoa. I remember the first time meeting this kid, I thought it was a dang on defensive end.
Right?
Like this what quarterback? But I think he's going to be okay. He got drafted by a team that he does not have to perform right away. He could show out and develop, and hopefully, I know he's going to be a backup this year. He will be third string automatic.
I want to say this about Joe, though. He is outside of whatever he does football wise, he's a super nice kid. I've met him. I've managed to meet him one time. He was doing a meet and greet at Dick's this year. It was him and Dalton Connect. Dalton was running late. Joe stayed late enough to sign for everybody until Dalton got there. That was the main reason I went though that night was my youngest boy loved Joe, loved watching him play, everything. Made his night, made his year to meet Joe. Joe took the time to speak to him, talk to him, this, that, and the other. I'm into football cards. I took Joe one of his Bowman First rookie cards, and I was like, "Have you ever seen this before?" He was like, "No, I've seen a few, but I've not seen that one." He loved it. I gave it to him. He signed one. I've got one here in my case that I keep with all my other stuff here. And it meant what, but most importantly, what showed me a lot about Joe was the way he took time with every single child that come through that line that night. He took time to talk to them, get to know him or her, and was just legit super nice. So that, to me, I don't care what the man does on the football field. If you're willing to take that type of time with a child that you can influence, that says a lot to me.
Yeah, he's a good kid, man. He's most definitely a good kid. I do know that.
Up there with former Vol Gerard Mayo, head coach of the Patriots.
Yes.
Hey, when Mayo selected him, I was like, man, this is gonna be nice. They know what they're getting, man. They know what they're getting. They know that they got a kid that they can easily develop. And I'm surprised they took the first quarterback, though. But
yeah, 2 quarterbacks in the same draft is always doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
right?
This whole draft this year was totally different, man. I'm like, surely these teams need more defensive players.
It's kind of like hedging your bets, so to speak.
I
boys,
think the new rules in the NFL is the reason for the quarterbacks, though. Like, they can do so much more with the quarterbacks now. They don't have to get hit anymore, and they can do a lot more stuff with the quarterbacks, and that's why I think they drafted a lot of quarterbacks.
I could that makes sense. That makes sense.
A drop
boys.
Yeah, there'll be 100-point game this year. I can't. That one's confused me. I like the drop hip tackle. What are you supposed to do as a defender?
I'm like, what are you supposed to do? You got the lady.
You're like, well, I can push him out.
You cannot do what I used to call the night. You can't put nobody to sleep. You can't hit them hard no more.
Yeah.
None of that. No. I said if I was in NFL, I think I would retire after my first big signing bonus. I quit.
There you go. Deuces.
Okay. You see what AD did, Aaron Donald. There's no reason.
Yeah.
I mean, you talking about retiring early? Oh, he had at least 5 more years in him.
Yeah, he called it an early one, no doubt.
Well, let's
boys.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Let's wrap this up.
We've gone about an hour and 20 minutes. Let's do a quick start bench cut, Billy. You know what start bench cut is, right?
Yeah. Yes.
My man. So, all right, most hated rival. Start bench cut, Florida, Bama, Georgia.
I'm going to cut the easiest one, Florida.
Okay.
I'm probably going to bench Bama. And, of course, you got to go Jay.
There you go. I think we're getting to the point where me and Swanny's both going to agree on this because, man, Georgia fans bark at you.
Georgia is
we don't need that.
They're following a recipe, man. They doing what Nick taught them, man. They ain't changing.
It's just they're good. They're really, really good now, and I don't like that. They're probably my most hated team right now for sure.
And see, and I tell people this here also. Coach Smart inherited a heck of a team.
Yeah.
A heck of a team. You're talking about a team loaded with 4- and 5-star players before you got there. Mark Rich was winning 10 and 11 ball games a year. And he got fired. But all they had to do was just hire a good defensive coordinator, and Mark Rich would have been just fine. And that's what they did with Kirby. Kirby is a defensive-minded coach, and it's going to be tough to beat those guys.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely.
Why does it always have to be? Okay. Why does it always have to be our rivals who are good?
It always happened.
Why is it went from Florida to Bama to Georgia?
Never fails.
Who's next? Kentucky, South Carolina? Who's the
Nope.
next dynasty? No,
Texas.
I'm just playing, but
Texas.
I can see that actually.
Ooh. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I say Texas because
Um,
the state. Texas have a whole lot of players that want to come play in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
So now they can stay home.
And now they're here. Yeah.
Yep. That makes
Another
sense.
Saban
Absolutely.
disciple down there coaching too.
Yep, and I tell you this, A&M is probably about to drop off because Texas taking all their players.
Because of that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. That would make a ton of sense. So we're going to go from most hated rival to what's your favorite road stadium to play in? Start, bench, cut, Williams, Bryce, Jordan Hare, Bryant Denny. Of course, I think back in the day, you played when you played Bama, you guys had to play in Birmingham, didn't you?
Yes. Bama was our rivalry. Well, Florida was really our rivalry then. Florida, then Bama, then Vanderbilt or whatever.
So out of those three, though, what's your I guess we'll cut Bryant Denny because you had to play in Birmingham. Williams, Bryce, Jordan Hare, what's your start and what's your starter, what's your bench?
Of course, you got to cut Vandy. They go.
Sure.
I'm gonna bench Bama and then Florida will be starting there.
Okay.
Florida was the dynasty back then, man. They were, gosh, they may have been the cockiest team you ever played in your life. You're talking about players like Jaquez Green at 5'5" talking smack to you and backing it up. And you got to take it. You can't do nothing about it because they winning.
That's gross. I don't know if I'd have made it when Florida was that good. I couldn't stand them when Urban was there and Tebow. People all the time say, "Well, Tebow's the only likable Gator there ever was." To hell with Tebow. I don't like him. I think he's a phony. I think it's all an act.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not an act, man. That's him all day too, man. Like I after meeting the man and sitting down with the man or whatever, it's a whole different perspective there. You're like, okay, so that is him. I mean, it's hard to hate the man after you meet the man. If you understand what I meant.
I understand, but I ain't met him yet, so I'm gonna sit over here.
So it's easy for him to hate. All right. Next up, most obnoxious fans. Bama, Georgia, Carolina. Start, bench, cut.
I'm gonna go. Hold on. Did you say Carolina?
Yeah.
South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama.
I'm gonna cut Bama. Yes. I'm changing it up. I'm gonna probably. I'm gonna bench Georgia. I'm gonna start South Carolina.
Ooh, for some reason, I'm not even surprised. I am not even surprised.
Yes.
I have never met a South Carolina fan that I genuinely like.
Hey, South Carolina, gosh. I'm telling y'all, SEC is going to be crazy this year, guys. SEC is going to be crazy.
I'm here for it. I'm looking forward to it. Look,
how much time do you spend with these kids that are Bama fans that have never lost? You know what I mean?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of them.
They're kids who were born in like 2002 that have no idea that Bama was ever bad at football.
Man, that's unreal, man. That's unreal. Like in college football, like that's when you say dynasty, Nick created something it's going to be hard to duplicate.
It never will be. I don't think. I mean, Kirby's got a good shot. I guess there's no sign of that slowing down there. But
I mean, he has a shot, but I think with the way the SEC is aligning, it's going to be a little bit different. And I'm going to tell you this here: Alabama hard to get used to losing.
Yeah.
It won't be the same without Nick.
That's going to be fun to see them freak out over 9-3.
It's not going to be the same, though, if we beat them, though, man. I want Nick to be
it will.
At least we got him that one time. At least we got him once on the way out the door.
And well, it should have been back-to-back.
Why wasn't it?
That's true. That's true.
Referees to pay for something because that just I didn't like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have to agree with it. We go in 21-10 at halftime last year and blow it. I mean, it happens though. It happens. Last one though, boys. Start bench cut.
Did you freeze up again?
No, he didn't.
I bet he did. I wrote down a couple things while we've been talking that I wanted to mention. If you will, we talked about Sean Bryson playing fullback, and I just wanted you to kind of tell us, not really me and Jordan, but some of the younger audience, what is a fullback?
So, what is a fullback? Fullback is basically a blocking running back. His job is to create space for the actual running back to run off of his tail. So
see, it's not a
H back in a sense.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know what a fullback is. Never even heard of it.
Hey, Alabama still use it. They still old school. I mean, like fullback is a good player to have, especially if they have a certain skill set. And like with Bryson, he has speed and he can catch the ball at the backfield, and that's what they utilize him for. I mean, he was a great blocker, but typically we would have like Phil Crosby in at fullback because he was a hard-nosed, knock a linebacker out, or even a defensive tackle. You know, he was a lot stronger. Bryson was more speed and able to like get around a guy and a lot faster because you had like speed like Jamal Lewis coming behind him. He had to get there quicker because Jamal Lewis was freaking fast to be as big as he was.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. That was kind of a joke, but thank you for going into that. We mentioned the movie Rudy, which, by the way, I'm going to watch the Brandon Burlsworth movie tonight. I'll find out how I have to watch that.
Make sure you don't have any onions.
We compared it to Rudy. This is probably an unpopular opinion, but I think Rudy is overrated as a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll like Grader a little bit better. Like his story and understanding like how he started out. It's hard to not like him, man. It's especially when what you have to go through being a walk-on. It's tough, man, and the way he did it was like amazing, man.
Yeah, Rudy never did that, right?
Yeah. Well, when you see this story, it's gonna be like a Rudy, you didn't do what he did.
So we can go ahead and put the Rudy to bed. Last thing that I really took a note on was you had mentioned you were a basketball player and football was easy, and you're talking about your kids and how they are basketball players, but you get them to play football because they can. Are you familiar with the Austin Rivers comment a couple weeks ago, where he said something about NBA players could play in the NFL more so than the other way around?
I think
how
it's
do you feel
backwards.
about that?
I truly think it's backwards. I mean, like, I think football players actually can play basketball. I mean, the only difference with basketball players and football players are stronger. That's the only difference. They do the exact same drills. The only difference, they're on a field in cleats, they're on a court in sneakers. I played both of them at a high level. I played against Kobe before, and Kobe didn't believe I was that fast. He's like, "Oh, big man, you can move. I didn't think you could do it like that."
Hold time out on this. When was this game? When did this happen?
It's been a while, a long time ago, man. Right when I got out of college. I mean, when I was going to be a sports agent when I first came out. I was training with my mentor was Joe Bryant, which was Kobe's dad, and that's how I ended up meeting him, man, being around all that stuff. Had to quit that job because of the Genie Shield. Well, you know, when you a runner, you typically are taking kids out to party in cities like Miami, New York, Las Vegas, and you have a pocket full of money, and you don't come home until about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Uh-huh.
The ladies
Feel that.
don't like that.
Yeah. That's cool. That's a cool story, man. I'm a huge Kobe. Kobe's my guy. Kobe's my Jordan. And
yes, most definitely missed the man. He most definitely is being missed in the NBA right now because, gosh, he can most definitely mentor some of these guys.
He was about to have a 20-year post career that would rival what he did on the floor.
Yes,
he won an Oscar like a year after he retired.
Which is crazy, man. I mean, Kobe was, man, hey, he was just a different breed, man. Just you got to be around to understand how he operate, man. I mean, everything was a game. You know, he was competitive, no matter what it was, whether it was talking, walking, jumping,
Yeah,
making a peanut butter and a great peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah,
he wanted to make the best.
Are you following these NBA playoffs at all?
I am. Yes, I am. I think
who you like?
I think Minnesota's gonna probably do it, man.
Let's go.
They have all of the traditional position players, and that's something that most teams don't have anymore. Is with a traditional center. Mm-hmm. They're the only team really in the NBA that has a center.
Yeah. I will say Boston's going to be tough to beat. I really don't want Boston to win.
True.
But they're the best team left. Hopefully somebody can upend them. They're in a fist fight right now with the Pacers going into the fourth quarter.
I mean, the Pacers should give them a run for their money, though, man. I mean, if the Pacers pace that scoring that they were doing, and if Halliburton can get back to assisting the way he was assisting before he got hurt, oh my! I mean, because he haven't normally, 14 assists was like normal for him.
Mm-hmm.
Now he got to shoot the three.
Yeah. Well, Jordan, if you want to put a cap on this thing.
Well, boys, I do apologize. I've had some internet issues tonight. I might get that addressed. But Billy, buddy, we definitely appreciate you joining us tonight. You're welcome back with us anytime you want to come back on. This has been an absolute blast, man.
Anytime, man. Anytime, even this season, man, after games, man, I don't mind getting on. Hit me up. All I need is a 15, 20-minute notice, and I can be upstairs in the studio, man.
I'll shoot you. I'll tell you what. We get off here. I'll shoot you my phone number. We'll text, and I'll holler at you for sure because we've got some stuff planned for this summer. We're wanting to we're wanting to do like a schedule preview and then break down some of the games and stuff over the course of the summer. And we'd love to have you back on with us for those, man. So we'll do that, and we'll end this one how we always end it, man. Go Vols.
Yes, sir.
Go Vols.